Hi, I'm Ravi. In this session, we will talk about VPC and peering connection. Before we proceed further to lab, quick notes about VPC and associated resources and a peering connection. AWS Virtual Private Cloud is a commercial cloud computing service that provides virtual private cloud by provisioning a logically isolated section of Amazon Web Services Cloud. And enterprise customers can access Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud over IPsec based virtual private network. An AWS subnet is a range of IP address in VPC, and we can create AWS resources such as EC2 instances in specific subnets. A subnet or subnetwork is a network inside a network. Subnets make networks more efficient. Through subnetting, network traffic can travel a shorter distance without passing through unnecessary routers to each destination. AWS Internet Gateway enables resources in public subnets such as EC2 instances to connect to Internet if the resource has a public IPv4 address or IPv6 address. In our session, we will use IPv4 address. AWS route table is a table that contains rules that direct how your network traffic is routed between VPCs and VPNs. Each route in the table contains range of IP address for the destination that you want to send traffic to. AWS Security Group acts as a virtual firewall. The only traffic that reaches the instance is the traffic allowed by security group rules. AWS EC2 instance is a secure resizable virtual server in Amazon Web Services Cloud designed to provide flexible on-demand compute capacity. Now, to connect VPC connections, we use a peering connection. A peering connection is a networking connection between two VPCs that enables you to route traffic between them using private IPv4 or IPv6 address. In our session, we will use IPv4 address. Instances in either VPC can communicate with each other as if they are within the same network. Now, in case if you need a subnet calculator, this is one of the choice. And if you go through internet, you may find few more choices. I would use this one. This is a little bit easy to understand. And for lab purpose, we need multiple VPC and subnets. I have listed out 3, and based on your understanding and usage, pick any 2. For today's session, I would need 2 VPCs. So I'll use VPC01 and VPC03. Now on the lab configuration for VPC and peering connection, so I need, how many VPCs I need? 2 VPCs. Subnets, 2 public subnets and 2 private subnets. Then internet gateway, 2 internet gateways, and route table, 2 route tables for public subnet, 1 public subnet each in each VPC. So I need 2 route tables for public subnets, 2 route tables for private subnets. Security groups, 2 EC2 instances, 2 EC2 instances in public subnets of VPC 01 and 02, 2 EC2 instances in private subnets of VPC 1 and VPC 2. Peering connection, we need 1 between VPC 01 and VPC 02. Now, in the configuration steps, previous session, we discussed about single VPC, 1 public subnet and 1 EC2 instance. This link for previous session I'll share in description. And session 2, where we had discussed with 1 VPC, 1 public subnet, 1 private subnet, and 2 EC2 instances, 1 EC2 instance in public subnet, 1 in private subnet. That link also I'll share it in description. In this session, I need 2 VPCs, 2 public, 2 private, and 4 EC2 instances. So first VPC, I'll call it as VPC01 with the IP range of 10.0.0.0/16 and subnets under that. And for VPC02, I will use 192.168.0.0/16 range and two associated subnets. So let me write down steps for VPC configuration. Now, first we'll talk about VPC01. VPC01 IP range is 10.0.0.16. Now, first step, you need to create VPC01 with this range. Then one internet gateway. And under VPC, because we need host names along with IP address, I need to enable DNS host names under VPC settings. Number 3, create internet gateway. I'll call this resource as IGW01. Number 4, once internet gateway is created, attach internet gateway IGW01 with VPC. And VPC ID I'm referring to is VPC01. Number 5, I need two subnets in under VPC01. Create subnet. First subnet, public. I'll say, because we have two public private in each VPCs, let me refer it as a name. VPC01 public subnet 1. Okay. And this range would be 0.0.1.0.24. Second one, VPC01 private subnet 2. Okay, and range would be 2.0.24. Number 6 would be create route table. First route table, I'll call it as under VPC01. I'm creating public RTB01, then VPC01 private RTB02. Okay. Now, for associate, okay, route table configurations. Route table configuration for public, okay, for VPC01. Okay, first one would be VPC01 public RTB01. Let me just put it as 1 just to avoid confusion, just 1. Okay, now here we need external communication. So for public subnets, we need external communication. So I'll add the route 0.0.0 through internet gateway IGW01. Then associate public subnet, which is VPC01 public subnet 1 with public route table, which is VPC01 public RTB1. That is for route table configuration, public route table. Private route table configuration for under VPC01. Okay, so we don't want to add route, external route. Why? Because we want to keep it private. Assume that we have database configuration servers there and any critical data servers. Okay, so I'll not add any external routes. So by default within VPC, connection is enabled. So traffic can flow from instances created under different subnets as long as parent VPC is same. And association, I'll keep it there. Private subnet to private route table. Private route table 2, then private subnet, second subnet. Let me change this to private subnet, and private route table. This route table name also I'll change because there are too many resources. You have multiple VPCs, so you bound to have multiple resources. So naming convention and text, everything, you should be very careful in writing it down. Number 9 is you need to have one security group as well. Security group, create security group under VPC01. So I'll just call it as VPC01 test SG1. Okay. Allow traffic for, I'm going to create Linux machines here under this VPC01. So would allow port 22, port 22 SSH traffic. Okay. For external communication. Okay. Now that's step number 10 would be create EC2 instance under public subnet. 11 would be create EC2 instance under private subnet. Okay, let me just call this as VPC01 underscore public EC2. Okay, that should be okay. So that I can easily identify which machine it is referred to. Private. Now once it is, and this one associate public IP. Okay. I would say enable public IP association. That's a better word. Public IP association not required. Why? I want to keep it private, assuming that there are critical data servers or database configuration servers. Okay, so let me, text is ready. We'll try to create resources using my existing AWS subscription. So let me connect, already connected. I'm on console home. If I want to create VPC configuration, go to all services. There are different ways to go to configurations. So I'll just go to view all services, scroll down, services listed by category, scroll down. Then you have under networking and content delivery, VPCs here. Select. I want to create one resource at a time without disturbing default configuration. So on the left hand side, go to your VPCs. So that's a default VPC made available by AWS. I'll not touch the configuration. Instead, I'll create my own. Create. So I'm not creating multiple resources at a time. I'm creating one resource at a time, except subnets. So this is VPC01, IP range 0.0.016. Scroll down and create with default settings. Now, as you can see, DNS hostnames is disabled. Let me enable it so that whenever we launch EC2 instances, hostname is also visible. So go to actions for VPC01, edit VPC settings, and this one. Under DNS settings, enable this and save. So that's enabled. Next step is on the left hand side, go to internet gateways, create new one, IGW01, create. Now the current state is detached. So I need to attach it to existing VPC. Go to actions for IGW01, attach to VPC. Which VPC? VPC01. Attach. Okay, so that's status updated. Next, to the subnets, select without disturbing default, create subnet. Now, where we are trying to create under VPC01. Okay, so I will create two subnets here. So what is the name I've used? I've used this one. Okay, so that's the name. Availability zone, I'll put it in 1A and 1B because in this region, T2.micro is not available under 1C availability zone. Okay, so if I want to launch EC2 instances, I need to make sure the particular type of EC2 instance is available there. Otherwise, what happens? Our prerequisites configuration will be unnecessarily we have to redo a different work or go to AWS support for any additional help required. So in this case, because with previous experience in my previous labs, I understood T2.micro is not available in 1C. So I'll create my subnets under 1A and 1B. So that's my VPC configuration and subnet 10.0.1.0, 24 bits allocated for network. I'll create second subnet also here. Name to refer private subnet 2 under VPC01. 1B range 10.0.2.0.24. So two subnets for now and create subnet. So I have created two subnets now. Just to make sure I identify, I've tagged VPC01 name there so that I can easily identify. So next would be route tables. So I need to create two route tables without disturbing existing configuration. Go to create route table there, create name to use. I've listed here. Let me copy paste the name under VPC01, create. Now let me create route tables, then we'll talk about associations. Create route table. Second one would be private route table. Create under VPC01. Create. Now association VPC01 has one public, one private subnet and it has two route tables, public private route tables. So let me update public first. So I need to enable external communications. I'll add a route for traffic to flow through for destination 0.0, which is any IP, through internet gateway, which is IGW01. Save it. Next is association. So I need to associate public route table with public subnet so that whatever resources, EC2 instances resources will use the routing rules here. Okay, so that's associated. That's the route. Now to the private route table. Edit. Now I don't want external communication here because I want to keep it private, assuming we have database or critical database configuration service here or client data. Okay, so I'll keep it default. Subnet association, let me add private to private. Save it. Now to the security groups. Okay, creates. So what is the VPC ID here? VPC ID 01 ID is 40C40604. Okay. Now I need to create one security group. I'll call the security group as VPC01 test SG1. I'll keep the description same. Under which VPC? VPC01 C40604. And I need one inbound rule, which is to allow SSH communication externally. Save it. Okay. Now let me launch another tab to manage EC2 instances. View all services, compute category, EC2. Dashboard or launch instance directly. So let me go to launch instance. And what is the EC2 instance name I will be using? VPC01 public EC2. I'll be launching one Ubuntu Linux machines. It's faster to launch as well as easy to connect. For connectivity purpose, I'll be using Git Bash. Okay, so whatever latest Ubuntu server 24.04, I'll use it. And instance type, I'm going to use T2.micro, which has one virtual CPU and one GAP memory. Key pair, existing key pair. Then network settings, this is listed as default, but I want to create under VPC01. So edit, drop down menu, VPC01. So the moment I changed to custom VPC, so you can see here, auto assign is disabled. So I need first to the public subnet, I need public IP. So enable this and security group, the one we just created, VPC01 test SG1. Okay, rest or 8 GB OS drive sufficient for lab purpose. Rest all defaults. On the right side, you can see configuration snapshot, number of instances with the configuration 1. If you're happy with this list, launch instance. Scroll down, we can see option 2, list all instances, select. Now, I need to launch one more instance under public subnet. Launch instance. One is public, one in private. Okay, so public I launched, let me launch private. So what is the name I should be giving? VPC01 private EC2. That's the name I'll be tagging. And Ubuntu Linux. Whatever OS is latest, I'll use the same. And instance type would be T2.micro. Existing key pair. Network, I'll select VPC01. Then this is private subnet. So when it is private, I don't want to enable public IP for private EC2 instance. So I'll not enable that. But attach security group, existing security group, one we just created for this VPC, custom security group. 8 GB OS drive sufficient for lab purpose. So right side you have your configuration snapshot, launch. Then view all instances. Okay, so that's my VPC01 public EC2 instance and private EC2 instance. So let it continue. Next is I'll be performing similar steps for VPC02 as well. So let me copy paste. While editing, should be very careful because we may miss few points. Then naming convention, all those things will overlap unnecessarily. So just be very careful while doing this. Or if you're comfortable writing completely new, you can do that. Okay, so private, one public. So let me update one by one. So VPC 02 with this IP range. Okay, so what is the name? VPC 02. So here internet gateway would be IGW02, IGW02 and VPC 02. Okay, and naming convention, change it to 2. Wherever you see VPC 1, I've used VPC 2. Okay, next. So we can see here, first one, create VPC01, enable VPC settings, internet gateway IGW02, and attach internet gateway IGW02 with VPC02, create 2 subnets, VPC public subnet 1, subnet 2, and IP address to use. Create 2 route tables, VPC02 public RTB1 and VPC02 private RTB2. And for public route table configuration, for this route table, add route and communication will flow through IGW02 and associate public subnet 02 with route table 0 under VPC02. Similarly, for private route table, which is under VPC02, associate only route tables with subnet, no external communication. So create security group VPC02, and I'll call it as enable route table. Under route tables for security group, allow 22 traffic. Now EC2 instance VPC02, VPC02. Okay, so this is VPC configuration and associated resources. So VPC01 resources we created. VPC02, let's create one by one. First with VPC. Under VPC category, select create VPC. Only VPC resource, VPC02, IP address, this one, scroll down with default settings, create VPC. Now DNS host names is visible as disabled. Let me enable it. Go to actions, edit VPC settings, DNS enable. Now if you see here, if you look at this slide, okay, this is VPC connection. So what are we trying to do? We are trying to prepare this under two EC2 instance, two VPC networks. So this is one VPC. Similar configuration we're doing for second VPC as well. Okay, that's what we are trying to do. This is single VPC, but you have only one instance each under public private. So same configuration. This is with route tables. Okay, IP range may differ, but I am using a different IP range. This is with route table configuration. This slide, this is with just EC2 instance in different subnets. And this is our peering connection. So let me go back to configuration. Now DNS host names enabled. Next is internet gateways under VPC02. So I'll call this as IGW02 create peering connection. Next, as of now it is detached. Let me change to attach. Under VPC02 attach. Status change to attach. Next, two subnets. Okay, create subnets. What is the naming convention I'm using? VPC02 public private. First, under VPC02, first subnet 1A and IP range is this one. Create one more subnet. This time it would be private subnet under VPC02. 1B availability zone and IP range for this subnet would be this one. And create two subnets under VPC02. Remove filter so that it lists all subnet details. Refresh. You can see two under one VPC, two under a different VPC. Okay. Now to the route tables. Select first public route table under VPC02. So what is the naming convention? This one. So when you are doing lab, follow your own naming convention. When you are doing it for client or in-house network, follow as per the architectural diagram as well as naming convention approval. Okay, so under VPC02, this is one route table. Create. Second route table would be private route table 2. Under VPC02. Create. So we created route tables now to the configuration. So one under VPC01 public, let me, along with the default, I need one external route. Create, where are we trying to connect? Your 0.0 any IP address. Then through internet gateway, which is 02, IGW02. Then association would be edit public to public, public route table to public subnet. Okay, so that's about public route table. So private route table under VPC02 would be only public, only private subnet association, no external network, because assume that we have critical data configurations under private subnet. So I'll keep default route and association. Private route table to private route table under VPC02. Save it. Now, security group. Okay, so what is the VPC ID for VPC02? 02 ending with ABB7747. So go to security groups, create security group. Let me call this as security group is VPC02 test SG1. Same description for now. Under VPC02, add route 1 SSH communication, because I'm going to launch Linux machines only for now, because easy to connect, easy to configure and test as well. For Windows, we have to wait for 3-4 minutes initially. Okay, so that's my configuration. Network resources configuration. So let me go to EC2 instances now. Okay, so I have public private EC2 instance for VPC01. Now for public private under VPC02. Naming convention, I'll use first public EC2 instance under VPC02. So I'm going to launch Ubuntu Linux machine, select Ubuntu. I'll use latest under AWS inventory, then instance type t2.micro. Now if you see, I'm creating my two VPCs in one region only. If your requirement is to create two VPCs in different regions, you can create, but the connectivity is same. There's no difference. I'll show you at one point where we have to create connectivity across two VPCs. It could be in same regions under same account, or different regions under same account, or different accounts, different regions or same regions. Okay, so at which point we have to do the selection? When we initiate the peering connection config, at that point we have to do. So at this moment, here we are trying to launch one public EC2 instance under VPC02. So that's my key pair. Network, I'll use VPC02 public subnet. Then because it is public subnet, I will enable public IP address for EC2 instance. Then existing security group, we just created a custom security group for VPC02. Select 8 GB OS drive sufficient for lab purpose. On right side, that's your configuration snap. Happy with the configuration with number of instances with that configuration. Launch instance. Scroll down, view all instances. Then I need one private EC2 instance under VPC02. Launch EC2 instance, a naming convention. Ubuntu OS using the latest available. T2.micro with one virtual CPU and one GAB memory. Key pair, existing key pair. Network, I'll use VPC02 and private subnet. And for private subnet, I don't want public IP associated to EC2 instance. So I'll keep it disabled. Security group, we'll select custom security group under VPC02 and 8 GB OS drive sufficient for lab purpose. Right side is your configuration selected and number of instances with that configuration. If you're okay, launch instance. Now, if you see, when we talk about a private EC2 instance, because it does not have a public IP, first for connectivity purpose, we have to upload our key file to public EC2 instance first using SSH for connectivity purpose, for copy purpose, secured copy. So let me use this. Okay, so first let me launch two Git bash sessions. One, I'll use it for VPC01 EC2 instances. Second, I'll use it for VPC02 instances. Okay, so left hand side is my VPC01, right hand side is my VPC02 session. Okay, so first I need to upload my key file. So let me write it down. Step number 12 under VPC01 would be secured copy, or you'll say using secure copy, upload key file to public EC2 instance from local system. That is step 2. Okay. Then 13 would be connect to public EC2 instance from local system. 14 would be using, here one more point. 13 would be update or change permissions to key file. So I'll show you how to do that. Step number 14 would be once you connect, there you have to update. So step number 14 becomes update permissions. Okay. Then 15 would be for private EC2 instance, it needs a key file. If it has to connect to any other private EC2 instances, it could be in different network. When you have a pairing or trust relationship between two networks, private EC2 instances without public IP, they can talk to each other. In that case, it needs a key file. So for that, we need to using secured copy, upload key file from public EC2 instance to private EC2 instance. So connection string, it's available on portal. Let's do that. So first, secured copy. So what is a connection string for VPC01 public EC2 instance? So go to connector tab, select instance, connector tab, and how we are trying to connect using SSH. Go to SSH. You can see a public string connection tab here. So copy paste. Here, connect to public EC2 instance using this string. Okay. Along with that, we have to copy as well. How do I copy? Instead of SSH, it would be SCP. Connectivity is using SCP. What is the file we are trying to copy? That's a file we are trying to copy. To which user? This user. What is the public IP or host name of the machine? That's the host name, public IP DNS host name. And where we are trying to copy, which folder or directory? Home directory. Okay. Now that's for public EC2 instance. So go to the folder where key file is available. So key file is available here. My key files on this folder. Okay. Paste it. Confirm. And one file is uploaded to public EC2 instance. Now connected to public EC2 instance using this pairing connection. That's about pairing connection. This is my connection string. Copy. Left hand side EC2 instances with under VPC01. So I'm connecting to public EC2 instance under VPC01. Just to confirm. Okay, now you can see that's my public subnet 1.0. IP address is 116. Now, if you do ls, you'll find key name there. But what is the permissions required? Permissions required is here. Okay, step number 3. So using change mode 400. What it is saying? It is saying only read permission should be given to this file. No others, no group users should have permissions. Copy this and execute. ls minus l. You can see only owner has read permission, no others, no group users has any other permission. So now from here, I'm going to upload file to private EC2 instance under VPC01. Okay, connection string is this one. So that's my connection string. Copy. Okay, update permissions. We did that. You can see here that's your pairing connection configuration diagram. And let me go back to command to copy paste here. Okay, so upload file. So how do I upload? Using secure copy SCP. Which file I'm trying to transfer to which user? Ubuntu user. Where is that? On private IP address under private subnet of VPC01. So which folder? Under home path for Ubuntu. Then connection connected to private EC2 instance from public EC2 instance using connection string and reverse test as well. So let me upload first from public EC2 instance to private EC2 instance under VPC01. Just to confirm, file is uploaded. Okay. Now let me connect from public EC2 instance to private EC2 instance using this connection string. Okay, from public to private. Okay, let me add to the configuration file. Similarly, now if I want to test whether I am able to connect from private to public, so let me test it. Connect to public EC2 instance from private EC2 instance using SSH. Write it down here. You see here my connection string is like this: SSH -I, my key name, then Ubuntu user @ what is the private IP address of my public EC2 instance? Check here under VPC01. So that's your copy, paste it there. So until here, it should be okay. So let me connect it to public to private and do a reverse test as well. This is public to private. And let me do reverse connection as well. This would be 1.161 if I am not, yeah, that is 1161. There you go. Both are working fine. So I'll keep connection at private EC2 instance, okay? Because my actual target is create a pairing connection between VPC01 and VPC02 and test if my private EC2 instance under VPC01 is able to talk to private EC2 instance under VPC02. So my left-hand side session is for VPC01 configuration. So let me do that for right side as well for VPC02. So we did until step number 11. Now step number 12 till 17. under VPC02 as well. Okay, naming convention will change. Let's update. Okay, now connection string. Okay, until here is okay. My public IP address will change for EC2 instance, public EC2 instance under VPC02. So what is the DNS name? VPC02 public EC2. Okay, so that's my public DNS host name. Copy there. First upload key file. Copy this configuration from local system to public EC2 instance of VPC02. Okay. Now copy, upload this file just to confirm. There you go. My file is uploaded. Now connection string. So I'm trying to connect from local system to public EC2 instance under VPC02. So that's my connection string. I'm updating it here. As well as on the right side session is for resources under VPC02. So I'm connecting to public EC2 instance under VPC02. Now using secured copy, first change mode, because my key file is same, the same configuration will, same permissions will work here as well. Okay, now copy or upload your key file from public EC2 instance to private EC2 instance under VPC02. So what is IP address? Connection string for private EC2 instance under VPC02. So that's my IP address. So let me update here. IP address. Only IP will change. Rest of the command looks same. Okay. I'm uploading key file from public EC2 instance to private EC2 instance under VPC02 using secured copy. So one file is uploaded. Let me establish connection also from public to private first. So what is IP address? That's IP address. Configuration file. That's my IP address. Okay. Connection from public to private using private IP address because it does not have public IP. Which one? Private EC2 instance on VPC01 as well as 02. So my connection looks okay. So let me see if file is available. Key file is available on private EC2 instance as well because we just uploaded. Let me test reverse connection. So for that I need private IP address of public EC2 instance under VPC02. So that's a private IP address. Copy. Correct here. Okay, so that's my connection string from private to public under VPC02. Okay, connections are working fine. So let me go back to private EC2 instance under, this is under VPC02. So you can see 192 series is for VPC02, 10 series is for VPC01. Now our target is target lab here. This is all configuration under VPC02. Target is first step. Connect from private EC2 instance under, this would be VPC01 to private EC2 instance under VPC02 and reverse also. Both sides, two-way communication. 02 to 01 this time. So how the IP looks like, because my username is same. So let me put it this way. Okay. So let me write IP address as well. Private EC2 instance, IP address would be check under VPC01 first. That's my IP address. Let me write it down. Okay. Now private EC2 instance under VPC 02. So that's my private IP address. Let me update it here so that we don't have any confusion while writing connection string. Now, how do I write it? My connection string would be until here. Target would be 192.168.2.9. If I do a reverse, so my connection string would be IP address would be 10.0.2.171. Now to enable this, I need peering connection. So if I do it directly, what will happen? Let me do from private EC2 instance of VPC01 to private of VPC02. So if you see here, there won't be any connection because there is no relation or trust connectivity between two VPCs. So if I do the reverse also, it won't be successful. Check here on the right side. So from private of VPC02 to private of VPC01. So it won't happen. Okay, why? There's no connection. So to enable this connectivity, we need peering connection. If you see here, this diagram. So if you want to communicate between two different VPCs, your VPC can be in the same region, same account, or different regions, same account, or irrespective of regions in under different accounts. So configuration looks same. So if you see here, I need to create a peering connection between VPCs. So for that, let's go here. Under VPC configuration, if you scroll down, you will see an option here. Okay, for peering connections. Okay, let's say you don't know where it exists. You can do a search as well. So see here, that's the one. Under VPC, that's your peering connection. Create peering connection. Well, let me write it down. Peering connection. VPC, peering connection. Create peering connection between VPC01 and VPC02. What is the name? I'll just call it as peer 1, VPC01 underscore VPC01, VPC02. Okay, check now. Go back to portal. Create peering connection. I'll just call it as peer 1, VPC01, VPC02. Who is the requester? Because both connections are originating under my account, it will be same here. So my requester is VPC01. Now if you see here under account, if the both VPCs are in same account, then here you will say my account. If both VPCs are in different accounts, then you have to give account ID there, target account ID. So in this session, both VPCs are in under my account only. My account, where did I create my VPCs? My VPCs are in same region, in Mumbai region, AP South 1. If you have under different regions, then you have to select another region. Okay, region ID and VPC ID. In my case, both are in same region. Who is acceptor? VPC 02. VPC requester would be VPC 01. Acceptor would be VPC 02. See here. Create peering connection. Now, if you see, the moment you create, okay, the moment you create, you will see a status button here. Status button is acceptance. Who has to accept? Who is the target account? In my case, it is same. But if you're using a different connections under different account, then whoever is the receiver, they have to go here under actions, accept. Then your status becomes active. Now, if you see here, one configuration update is required. Once our peering connection is active, who is trying to reach? Okay, who is trying to reach first? My private EC2 instance under VPC01 is trying to connect to private EC2 instance under VPC02. So I have to update route table. Add route to private route table under VPC01. Similarly, add route to private route table of VPC02. What connection I have to do? You see here, go to route tables and just copy paste. My route table here is this one. Okay. The second route, private route table under VPC02 is this one. What is that we are trying to add? We are trying to add a route. Okay. Add a route to which network? This network. Okay. Route to 192.168.0.016. Here we have to route to 10.0.0.016 through add route to this network, and the connections will flow through with connection flowing through peering connection. What is a peering connection? We have used this one. Here also same. Okay, let me update now. These three steps should be under peering connection. Second and third. Target remains same. Okay, let me update private route table of VPC01 first and see if any additional configuration is required. So route tables, private route table of VPC01, this one. Add route, edit, add which network I am trying to reach, 168.0.0/16. How I am trying to reach? Through peering connection. Save it. Next is private route table of VPC02. Under routes, edit route, add route where I am trying to connect to this VPC01 network through peering connection. Now check. Go back to Git bash sessions. Now see here, initially it is turned out because peering connection was not created as well as route was not updated. Let me recheck. Now left hand side session, we are trying to connect from private EC2 instance under VPC01 to private EC2 instance under VPC02. Check. We can see connection is enabled. Now on the right side, we are trying to connect from private EC2 instance under VPC02 to private EC2 instance under VPC01. Check. There you go. Okay, so that's how the peering connection is created. Here I've enabled port number 22 based on your application service requirements. You can enable required ports and allow traffic, add routes, additional routes as required. And for security groups, you can allow the required service ports configuration under allow or deny as per your architecture diagram. It could be under development or it could be on pre-production or production environments. Now test is completed. Let me disconnect from all these sessions because once test is completed, if I If it is production or development requirement, I can keep the configuration for work purpose. Here it is lab. So I have to delete this configuration to avoid unnecessary cost. Okay. First is to terminate EC2 instances. Since it is lab, I'm deleting resources at a time without any disturbance to existing resources. But in real time, even for development, make sure you delete, terminate, remove configurations one at a time. Okay. Of course, with approvals. So I'm terminating EC2 instances. Select EC2 instances. Make sure no other resources are selected. So instance state, terminate. So termination will progress. Now I have to remove routing table configuration. Let me write it down. Once test is successful, remove configuration and test resources. First, delete, terminate, test EC2 instances. Now, while we wait EC2 instance to terminate, because I cannot remove any other network resources until your IPs and interfaces are freed up. So meanwhile, I'll delete peering configuration from route tables. That is one. Then delete external routes from public route tables. This is private route tables, both under VPC01 and VPC02. Under VPC01 and VPC02. Same here. Then remove or delete disassociate subnets from route tables. Okay, public, private under VPC01 and VPC02. Then number 5, delete route tables. Okay. Number 6, delete security groups under VPC01 and VPC02. Number 5 as well. This one. Both public, private. The number 7 would be delete subnets under VPC01, or this would be both public, private under VPC01 and VPC02. Then number 8, detach internet gateways from VPCs, both VPCs. VPC01 and VPC02. Delete internet gateways, both IGW01 and IGW02. Number 10, delete VPC01, 11, delete VPC02. This is 01. Okay, let's do deletion. So I've already initiated this. Next to the peering connection. So delete configuration and delete peering connection. Okay, check one by one. First, EC2 instances are terminated. Yes. Now to the network configuration. First to the route tables. To private route table first. Okay, edit routes. remove this, and here also I'll remove association also in the same step. Okay, since I have to anyhow do this in next step, I have removed association as well as routes both. Only default is available. That's under VPC private route table, VPC01. So next, private route table of VPC02. Under routes, edit routes, remove this, peering connection, save it. Association also I'll remove. Next, remove peering connections. Once connection is removed, peering connections configurations are removed from route tables. You can delete this. Delete confirmation. So if you have not removed any route table configurations, you can see here. Since I have removed configuration, it says no routes found. Now you are free to delete. Okay, that's deleted. Next is route tables for public route table. Let me do one by one. Public route table of VPC01. Under routes, remove external routes and association as well. Edit association, uncheck this box. Okay. Now to the route tables under VPC02 public route table, remove this external communication as well as associations. Save it. Now we are free to delete route tables as well. Let me see if it is updated. Delete route tables. Associations completed. We can delete route tables. Go here. Like I say, since it's lab test environment, I'm doing multiple resources at a time. Even if it is development for you, or if you're doing test first time, make sure you delete, remove configurations step by step. Actions, delete. Delete confirmation, delete. Now to the subnets, or let me delete security groups. Two security groups we created, custom security groups. Refresh this one. First one, second one. Actions, delete security groups. Delete confirmation. Default route tables, default security groups, when you delete VPC, they'll be gone along with that. But what we are doing? We are doing only custom configurations. Default anyhow will be gone once VPC is removed. You can see here, these two will be gone once VPC is removed. Okay, so now go back to subnets. Route tables, they're removed. Subnets, 1, 2, 3, 4. Actions, delete. If any configuration under this subnet are in use, you will not be allowed to delete. As you can see, we have removed configuration, deleted associated resources using this IP address under the subnet. So we are okay to delete now. There is no dependency. Next is internet gateway one by one. First to IGW02, detach confirmation. Then delete actions, delete confirmation. Next to IGW01, detach confirmation, then your deletion. Just do a quick refresh, close this instance tab, then to the VPCs. One VPC at a time. VPC01, select actions, delete VPC. If there are no dependencies, we can delete. VPC01 is deleted. Refresh. VPC02, actions, delete. No dependencies, we can delete. Okay. So that's about multiple VPCs and pairing connection configuration. Okay. So you can, while deletion, make sure you follow appropriate steps as per the configuration you have selected. And at the same time, if there's any dependency, the parent resource will not be allowed to delete. Okay, so that step we have to be very careful. Okay, thank you.